I was really shocked when I found out that my husband was having an affair with my best friend. My husband, M39, and I, F37, have been married for 7 years. We have a 5-year-old son, and he also has a 9-year-old son from his previous marriage. My best friend, F36, confessed to me that she and my husband had an affair last year, which ended around Christmas 2024. I had noticed some distance from her, although she always had valid reasons. I definitely felt that something was different with her, but I never assumed it would be anything like this. We continued to talk and see each other throughout the entire affair, which ultimately ended in December. She told me now because she had confessed to her husband and wanted me to hear it from her rather than from him. She is filing for a legal separation from her husband, and during a lengthy discussion about their marriage and the reasons behind its breakdown, she admitted to having an affair with my husband. During those conversations, I made the mistake of sharing details about the romantic gestures my husband still shows me and how good he is in bed. And that is the truth. I thought our relationship was great. I was, and frankly still am, in love with him. I never sensed that he wasn't attracted to me, interested in other people, or unfaithful. She mentioned that the affair began in October 2024 and claimed it was just sex. I know she had been very dissatisfied with her own marriage and sex life, as she had confided in me several times. There was even a point when she considered divorcing her husband. Although she always said she loved him and that he was a good man, their relationship lacked romance, and he failed to satisfy her sexually. According to her, the flirting started at a children's Halloween party in October. She felt very attracted to him and admitted that she was envious of what I had, even though she had never intended to pursue him romantically. After the party, she decided to text my husband to ask for advice about her own marriage. We are all friends and generally get along well, so I would never have found it odd if she had texted him for a man's perspective on something. However, in this case, I believe it was merely an excuse to initiate contact and discuss her dissatisfaction. She said that their text messages gradually became more inappropriate until they turned into sexting. She even showed me parts of their conversation, but I chose not to look closely. Eventually, they met in the middle of the week for sex. She claims that they probably met and had sex about 20 times. After discussing the situation and feeling an overwhelming sense of guilt, they mutually decided to end the affair around Christmas. My husband is a very attractive, outgoing man. His job puts him in the public eye here, and he's well known in our community. It's not unusual for women to flirt with him, and he is naturally charming, yet he clearly knew where to draw the line. Our sex life is excellent. We make time to be together as a couple, and we share more laughter than arguments. I never imagined he would ever do this to me, especially not with my so-called best friend. This past weekend, he went on a trip with his older son. She said that she revealed everything to her husband and to me over the weekend because she knew my husband was away, thinking that this might give me time to process the news. How considerate of her, I thought. I feel as though all of my insides have been ripped out. I feel completely empty and hollow. Yesterday, I picked them up from the airport and didn't let on that I knew anything. He was in a good mood and acting completely normal. I told him I wasn't feeling well and immediately went to bed to avoid any interaction. I'm a terrible liar. I'm trying to figure out what to do first before confronting him, but I'm not sure that will even be possible. I'm also worried that my friend's husband might contact my husband. I haven't heard from him yet. I probably should reach out, but I feel so nervous. I haven't done anything wrong, yet I can't help but feel guilty by proxy. It's ridiculous. Later that night, when my husband went to bed, he started rubbing against me and tried to initiate sex. Normally, after a few days apart, I would welcome intimacy. But right now, it's simply not realistic to think I can put on an act for much longer.
Wife files for divorce, reveals affair, then wants to reconcile at the last minute. My wife, 35F, and I, 38M, were married for 10 years and have 2 elementary-aged kids. The first 7 years of our marriage were absolutely incredible, at least from my point of view. I could not have asked for a better wife and mother. The last 3 years, however, have been much tougher. We attended numerous counseling sessions in an attempt to get our marriage back on track, but we could never really get there. I planned countless dates in red and listened to everything about improving a marriage under the sun. It helped, but there was a gap between us that I could never seem to close, no matter how hard I tried. In the latter half of last year, she blindsided me with a divorce. I deeply loved her, and I was devastated. I tried my best to talk her out of it. She waffled a bit, but ultimately insisted on moving forward. I never received a satisfactory answer as to why she filed. I wasn't a perfect husband. To be clear, I had my faults and could have done better, but I never cheated, was never abusive, and was a great provider. In these last few years, I was 100% committed to trying to save the marriage. A little more than a month after she filed, she was already seeing another guy. A month after that, she introduced our kids to him. Later, during the discovery phase of the divorce process, she confessed to having multiple affairs starting at around the 7-year mark. One of them lasted at least a year, though she claimed it amounted to only a handful of actual encounters. I had no idea she was even capable of this. The amount of lying she did to keep all this hidden is truly incredible. The day I found out was the worst day of my life, but at least I finally understood why we had such difficulty connecting in those last few years. It wasn't for lack of trying on my part. Fast forward 6 months and nearly $100K in lawyer bills later, and she decides she wants to try and reconcile. Mind you, she's still dating the same guy, but she tells me she'll dump him to work on things with me. So, what caused her change of heart? I think it might be because she found out I had started dating someone, who's awesome by the way, or possibly because she realized how much her financial life was going to change with my high income no longer in the picture. For her part, she claims it was because she saw how great of a dad I was being to our kids. I sat down with her and listened to everything she had to say. I felt that this was the least I owed her after a decade of marriage. She took responsibility for her mistakes and gave a heartfelt apology, although she was sure to partially blame my behavior for driving her to it. No matter how thin you slice it, there are two sides to every story. I get that, but I utterly rejected the notion of blaming me for her cheating. That said, I do believe she is truly sorry. Ultimately, though, I told her no and pressed forward with the divorce, which became final a few weeks ago. Meanwhile, she's been relentlessly trying to get me to give her another chance, texting almost daily. It has weighed heavily on me to see someone I once cared so much about now filled with regret and deep pain. I've held firm, though there's just too much damage. I don't think I could ever trust her again. Plus, I have this great new gal who's beautiful inside and out and has been incredibly supportive and patient. To be clear, we met well after I had been served papers. Typing this out highlights the insanity of it all for me. Who in their right mind would try to save a marriage like this? Who in their right mind would even have the guts to ask to fix it? I don't love her anymore, but I did love her for so long. And the kids, the co-parenting, I'll never really get away from this woman. It's hard. I guess I'm not sure why I'm posting this, maybe just to get some validation that I'm making the right call. Has anyone been through something like this before? Any advice? I was shocked to find out that my wife was having an affair with a man at the gym. Hey everyone, I just wanted to get this out. I'm not sure what I need to do. I, 42M, have been married to my wife, 40F, for almost 18 years, and we have 3 boys. I thought we had a good marriage with no major issues. About 3 years ago, we went through consecutive miscarriages. I tried to talk about them with my wife, but she wasn't willing to work through it. Then, about a year later, I discovered that she had been cheating on me with a guy from her CrossFit gym for about 5 months. I found the messages on her Instagram account and confronted her. She admitted it when I did. It's been 2.5 years since I found out, and as far as I know, it's over. Here are the things that have been hard for me. After I found out, she continued going to the gym, the same gym and at the same class time as her affair partner, and she still does. She knew that I was not okay with this, but in the shock stage, I didn't put my foot down. The gym and CrossFit are her only real outlet and source of community. I definitely feel it's that cult mentality, and most of her time outside the house is spent there. She has never given me full access to her phone. One time I asked, and she gave it to Mesh, then freaked out and literally smashed her phone. Now, her phone is locked, so I cannot have any access. Yes, there have been 2 or 3 times I looked through her phone while she was asleep once. I found that she had gone to a Halloween event with 5 people from her gym, including him. Also, up until her affair, she never had a passcode or Face ID on her phone. From what I know, her affair partner is part of her circle of friends at the gym, with whom she regularly talks. I asked her if they had any type of contact at the gym, After maybe 2 or 3 months, she said she wouldn't do it anymore because we needed to move on from it. We have been attending counseling. For the first almost 2 years, she wasn't ready for it. And now I feel we're doing it more because I need it. If it were up to her, she would say it's not something that has to happen for us to get better. She admits that she is 100% at fault and that I had absolutely nothing to do with her choice. She has always said that I didn't deserve it, and she will admit that throughout our marriage, she wasn't good to me and never found any fault with me for anything. She had been very difficult, and I feel that she was manipulative in our marriage, not accepting blame and always making me bow down and apologize. She has been kinder more recently. She is making an effort to prioritize us and show more physical affection, which is my primary love language. I feel there have been behavioral changes, but trust hasn't been rebuilt, so my spidey sense is always tingling at some level. I just don't know how to get over it. I think about her betrayal all the time, and I no longer feel I can see her the same way. I have told her a few times in the past few months that I want to separate. I feel conflicted wanting to stay and hoping it will work out, yet also wanting to leave. She is a stay-at-home mom and does some health coaching on the side. My income is probably 95% of our total. When we get into fights or have hard talks about me wanting to leave, she makes it clear that it would absolutely ruin her, as she has been a stay-at-home mom forever. I feel like I'm not an asshole. I've always tried to be an upstanding guy, but I don't know how to reconcile that with ending things when I see that she is trying hard to fix our marriage, yet there are things I'm just not okay with. She is also very much in the mindset that it's been 2.5 years, and it's in the past. Even though I feel she swept so much under the rug, leaving me unresolved since I discovered everything. I'm open to anyone's perspective or advice. Leaving her destitute is tough for me mentally. I can support myself and my boys, and contribute some child support to ensure they are cared for. I would imagine we would have split custody, and despite everything, I want things to be as amicable as possible for the kids. We're going to start with a new therapist. Our previous one moved out of town, so I very well may bring up some of these issues as we start anew. Thanks for any advice, and thanks for listening. I found out my wife had slept with the videographer from our wedding. It's absolutely unbelievable. I never thought that after 13 years of knowing each other and just over a year of marriage, I would be plunged into such deep betrayal. It all began on what was meant to be one of the happiest days of my life, our wedding day. I had trusted him completely to capture that special day on film a day, meant to celebrate our love and commitment. Little did I know that this very day would mark the start of a painful end. We had built a life together, one where I often set aside my own dreams and opportunities to be with her. I had arranged my entire world around our relationship, believing that our love was unbreakable. But one day, that belief was shattered in the most unexpected and heartbreaking way. A couple of days ago, while we were away on a weekend getaway with friends, I made a choice that I never thought I would have to make. I decided to look through her phone while she slept. I told myself that I needed to know the truth, even if it meant crossing a line that I knew was wrong. I wasn't prepared for what I found. The messages on her phone were filled with intimate details and explicit language meant for someone else. And reading her words felt like a punch straight to the heart. The betrayal wasn't only in the fact that she was unfaithful, it was also in the way she had shared parts of our private life with another person. Every word, every intimate confession that I thought was only ours, now belonged to someone else. In that moment, I felt completely defiled, as if my very being had been stained by her deceit. In my shock and despair, I couldn't keep the pain to myself. I called my mom and siblings, and as I poured out my heartbreak, the tears just wouldn't stop. I felt completely alone, overwhelmed by the raw, crushing pain of the betrayal. I had trusted her with my life, and now I felt that everything I had built was slipping away. When she finally woke up and came downstairs, I knew there was no avoiding the truth. I confronted her, telling her how deeply her actions had hurt me. I explained that her betrayal wasn't just about one moment of unfaithfulness, it had shattered the future we had planned together. As I spoke, she sat there in silence, absorbing every word. That silence, heavy and unyielding, told me more than any words could. It confirmed the truth that I already knew. Our relationship had been deeply damaged. That night, we made the painful decision to end our marriage. In the quiet hours of the early morning, around 3 a.m., we packed our belongings in silence and left the only home we had ever known. The drive home was long and filled with an unbearable quiet. I could hear her soft sobs in the back seat, each tear a reminder of everything that was now lost. I sat there, numb, feeling as if my heart was slowly falling apart. Once we arrived home, nothing seemed to ease the overwhelming pain. I broke down completely, realizing that I wasn't just losing a partner, I was losing the life I had so carefully built. My friends, my hobbies, my personal dreams, everything was slipping away with her betrayal. The sense of loss was all-consuming, and I struggled to find a way to move forward. In the midst of my despair, my mom arrived to pick me up. I hastily gathered a few belongings, just enough to get me through the next few weeks, and made sure to take our cats along. Even they seemed to sense the tension and sadness that had filled our home. My mom's house became a temporary refuge, a small safe haven in the storm of emotions that had overtaken me. Before I knew it, I had sent the final text message that sealed our fate. "We're divorcing." Even as I typed those words, I felt a mix of overwhelming sorrow and numb acceptance. I couldn't simply turn off the love I still felt for her, even after everything had happened. 13 years of memories, both beautiful and painful, were now intertwined with a betrayal that hurt more than I ever imagined possible. As I sit here now, trying to piece together the remnants of my life, I am haunted by conflicting emotions. I remember the moments of joy and the deep connection we once shared, and yet I cannot forget the sting of her actions. I am caught between the love I once had and the pain of her betrayal. It feels as if I am holding on to the past, even as I struggle to move forward into an uncertain future. In these moments of reflection, I realize that I cannot see her as all bad. She made a terrible choice, one that has left deep scars on both of us. Despite everything, I still care for her deeply, which makes the pain even harder to bear. It is a complicated mix of love and hurt, a battle between the desire to hold on to what once was and the need to protect myself from further pain. I am now on a journey to rebuild my life, one piece at a time. I yearn to regain everything that I lost: the confidence, the dreams, and the simple joys of living without the shadow of betrayal looming over me. It is a slow process, one filled with difficult days and moments of doubt, but I know that I must move forward if I am ever to find happiness again. This experience has taught me many hard lessons about trust, love, and the importance of being true to oneself. Although the pain is still fresh, I am determined to learn and grow from this betrayal. I know that the road ahead will be challenging, but I also believe that, with time, I will heal and build a future free of the hurt that once consumed me. In sharing this story, I hold on to the hope that one day I will look back at this dark chapter as a lesson that made me stronger and wiser. Until that day comes, I continue to navigate the delicate balance between remembering the love we once had and embracing the painful truth that has set me on a new path.